I want to start with this Nicki and Lotto thing.
Have that. Let's
What's
go.
good, everybody in the live chat, man? Thumbs up in the chat. People ain't getting their notifications. People are slowly coming in. I
We're
think
cool.
that,
Let's rock and
but yeah, we in there. This Nicki and Lotto thing, for the people who aren't abreast of the situation, basically they've been going back and forth since yesterday. And the
Mhm.
issue, well, I guess everything started with the fact that the Grammys, they took Nicki Minaj's song "Super Freaky Girl" out of the rap category because they said that her record was too pop.
Mhm.
And in her, I guess, rebuttal to the Grammys, she mentioned she mentioned Mulatto's record. She mentioned what's the Big Energy, and
Yes.
basically saying that that record, if it's in the rap category, then her record should be in there too because that record's poppy or whatever. She's kind of been throwing subliminals at Young Lotto for a minute,
Yeah,
and
yeah. Sounded
so
like you know what I heard? I heard hate, hate, hate. So I heard. I was like, oh, hate, hate,
yeah. And so Lotto comes
hate.
back, and then
But
they
well,
just
hate,
been
hate,
and then
hate.
they just been going back and forth or
Hate,
whatever.
hate.
And what's unfortunate about this, and what I think is unique about this is somebody in Lotto that has I mean, just her whole career. Even when people saw her on that reality show trying to make it, she's always given Nicki her props, and she's
Oh, and
always talked about how Nicki was a big inspiration to her, and she was the mark. She wanted. She didn't even act like she wanted to beat Nicki. She wanted to, what I'm saying. She idolized Nicki, right? And for Nicki to come at her in that way, it's next level, man. Because it's one thing that when you came in the game, you didn't give Kim her necessary props, and everybody let you get away with that. You know what I'm saying? Like people in the media and radio, they let Nicki get away with shitting on Kim and stealing Kim a lot of Kim's moves, and not giving her props for it, right? And
mhm.
now things have come around. And I think what really hit me, and why we're even talking about this, because we don't really like to take on like quote unquote gossipy stuff, and I don't even want to call it gossip just because it's female MCs, because this could actually go on wax just like any other situation. But when Nicki invoked the fact that she said that Lotto was age shaming her for calling her grandma, I was like, this is hip hop, man. And I know I've heard Nicki give some, when Nicki was younger, give some bars at older rappers. I feel like that happened even in the Remy situation. I could be wrong. And it's like, it's one of those things where when people are in their primes, they have no problem going at their elders in that way, and but when they get older, they want everybody to, now they want the respect that they should have been giving to others beforehand. And Nikki even brought up Lauren Hill's names. Like, do we call Lauren Hill a grandma because I worship the ground that Lauren Hill walks on? She said I never disrespected my, uh, the people that came before me. And I'm like, wait a minute, what about Lil Kim? What? It's crazy how people forget and how people pick and choose. And she's coming at Lotto the same way that, I mean, not even the same way. This is different because Lotto has given her respect. She's coming at Lotto like she's the youngin' that doesn't respect her elders, and it's like, do you remember what you did?
Mm-mm.
Do you remember what you're still doing? She still hasn't made amends with Kim in that way. And it's one
Yes.
thing to disagree with somebody and really not be on the same page as somebody, but to deny the influence that person has had on you, that's disrespectful to the legacy and her impact. Because if you didn't fuck with Kim like that, whatever, that's cool. You could just be like, you know what, we don't really see eye to eye, but she's been a big influence on my career. I wouldn't be here in this capacity without the groundwork that Lil Kim put down. She's never even done that. And when you do things like that, when your time comes, it's gonna be worse.
Oh, oh.
She pulled the age of
First of
the
all,
age shaming shit. Seriously?
I would like to say, are you done?
No, yeah, I'm done. Go ahead.
First of all, what goes around, it must come back around.
Yeah.
Such is the nature of life. Such is the nature of this world that we live in and we exist. What you do unto others is going to get done unto you. So you should be mindful of how you treat people on the way up.
Yep.
Because on the way down, you might be finding yourself subject to some of that same treatment. And here's the thing about it. You're inciting the treatment. Like the nerve. It's not like she's coming for you.
Right. And it's not like she never gave you respect. Like she's giving you respect the whole time.
Publicly.
She posted pictures of her as a child with her barbs chain, everything. She did this.
Yes. Without your, just because she loves you, apparently.
Things that you should have done when it came to Kim that you never did.
Oh, it's very problematic.
This is the problem with Nicki. She's threatened by everybody. She was threatened by Kim. She was threatened by Cardi. Because really, the industry tried to give her an out when Cardi came in. They wanted her to do a peaceful transfer of power. She refused to do so.
Very problem.
And so this is where we're at. It's like, okay, you don't want to give it up to Cardi? Well, here comes a Megan. Here comes a LATTO. Here comes a Doja Cat. Doja Cat does everything that Nicki tried to do on a radio level better than her. It is what it is. I don't vibe with some of the things Doja Cat says. But when you turn on the radio, Doja Cat's all over that bitch with quality pop records. And she can rap too.
I cannot deny any of those sentiments you just expressed, Mike. What do you want me to do?
And to come at the Grammys, this is my thing.
It's very problematic. I'm not joking. It's very problematic how she's behaving.
Somebody said this, man.
Like we about to have it was like the whole thing that we talked about on Wednesday with King and what's his face. It's like I was like, hold on. I was like, who, what age, and who, what age? Like you doing what with who? Like, for real, that loves you? You doing what with who that loves you? It's like, oh, you tripping.
And not to mention, we talking about somebody who's 23 years old.
No, that's part of the reason that you tripping. We just had this conversation about dude the other day. It's like, how old is King? I was like, oh, he's 18. It's like, oh, are you doing this with somebody that age? It's like, because I look at people that age and I laugh at them when they try to do things with me like that. I go, hold on, slow down.
Well, you have to think that the reason why she's even coming at LATTO in this way, because she feels threatened. And she feels that, even with her saying about being age shamed, she feels like the industry is pulling that age thing on her, where they're letting LATTO's song get in a category that her song is not able to get in because she's young and popping. But see, this is the thing. When you were younger and the industry, you were by yourself in the mainstream when it comes to female MCs. The industry was throwing us Nicki Minaj over and over and over for 5-6 years straight. You didn't have a problem with that. And when that's over, go ahead and transfer that power. It was more than that.
It was like 8 or 9.
It was.
It was like 8 or 9 years straight. It wasn't no 5 or 6.
You're right.
It was like 8 or 9 years straight.
I remember she was winning BET awards for best female artist or whatever. They had literally nobody in the categories. And I say that respectfully. People who just had a verse here and there, or people who didn't even have projects. You remember Diamond from Crime Mob? She was in the
Remy
category.
Was in jail. I think Remy was in prison and got nominated one time. I was like, hold on. I was like, where'd they get Remy bars from? I was like, hold on, Remy's locked up.
I'm like, look, if y'all not going to recognize Rhapsody, who was making records at the time, and recognize some of the, you know what I'm saying, grassroots or underground female MCs, or I would say lesser mainstream female MCs, that y'all need to
No,
take out the category altogether. You know what I'm saying?
I remember Jean Grey getting nominated one year. I feel like
Really?
I do. I feel like she got nominated one year. If I'm wrong, correct me, and we'll do some research and check. I feel like she got nominated one year.
Peter Park says Nicki is right about the wrongful categorization of the Grammys, though. Listen, the
She made some
Grammys is
valid
the
assertions, but that's not the first time somebody's made those assertions as well.
exactly. This is my thing, man. Who are the Grammys to say somebody's not rap enough and more pop? But again, these are the records that Nicki put down. And you know what? Like I said, if Doja Cat made this same song and she was in a rap category, everybody would be up in arms. Correct?
Well, here, okay, correct to that.
Because that's
You know,
happened.
you know, it's funny. Like, we have some followers of this show. Like, and I'm thankful for this, and you should be too. That really follow like things that go on in the industry, and have people that go on in the industry, and some of those people have started to talk to me more behind the scenes lately. About some of the nuances about how some of the things work, and all I have to really say is that, well, some of the stuff that we like are conspiracy about. Oh, it ain't no conspiracy. You know, like I don't know how else to say it. Like when people are popping up, like multiple people are starting to prop up in my DMs, like, "Hey, Coop, did you know this?" Like, woo, 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 woo. And I'm like, that's what me and Mike thought it was. They're like, yeah, that's why we're sharing it with you. Like, you dudes not tripping. Like we have people who follow us because they follow the industry and know how the industry works, and like some of the stuff that we talk about is actually very much accurate without us having those direct resources. And the more we kind of like hit the nail on the head, it seems like more of those people seem to start popping out and sharing information.
Yeah. Well, it's great stuff. And we're finally able to talk to the
Yeah.
people and speak with one another without the buffer of like mainstream
How
media.
about this? You know what? Every time I get the information, I think about Redman's line on How High, which is, fuck a billboard. I'm a bullet on my block. Now you know when you paid for your billboard spot. Yeah.
Jay
That
Short
shit
with the super
real.
chat says Nicki also threw shade at Aretha, Unforgivable, and Mariah Carey as well.
Very
And
problematic.
Mariah Carey as well. Like when she disrespected Mariah Carey, I was like, I was already kind of gone with the whole Kim thing because I think that the way that whole thing was handled was disrespectful on so many levels. Like you recreate many of her images, recreate some of her shoots, her steeds with the wigs and all that stuff. And again, we all are influenced by things, but to not give this, to act like Kim wasn't there, and it's like we give props to Foxy as we should, but she'll give props to Foxy and Lauren and act like Kim doesn't exist. And as dope as Lauren is, and we talk about Lauren all the time, we don't see Lauren in your style. So at least give credit where credit's due. You know what I'm saying?
I think Lauren's just inherently empowering to women, black women in
Yeah,
particular.
of course.
And so I dig it and I understand that, even for the stuff that I've had to say about like her timeliness.
Yeah.
Tut, like Tut's always been like, Nicki, like watch how you talk about my girl, like before I come find you, Goop.
Yeah, they
Like,
cool.
so it's like I
Yeah.
dig it. You know what I'm saying? I actually love that people feel that way about Lauren. You know
No,
what I mean? I
and
love
it's
that she
cool, but
incites that
it
type.
comes across as you want to give them extra props to ignore Kim, and they do, and she kind of does it out of
No,
spite.
she's handing out the shade card.
Right. Mad Max with the
That
super
card is a
chat
great
says.
card. It's a great card. It looks kind of cloudy. Yeah, it's a little shady.
Mad Max says to not take Nicki's side, but we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. I think is what he's saying. Girls, no respect. They all fake to each other and catty. Nicki probably
Sort of guys.
heard something and went with her nasty attitude.
Oh man, these dudes do sissy shit too. It's not just the girls.
Andrew Green with the super chat says off topic, but did y'all hear that MC Search is selling his publishing rights for Illmatic and it was written? Hopefully Nas buys it for ownership. I
No,
did
we
hear
will.
about that. We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, we are actually going to talk about that. That's on the docket. I feel like that might be a twofold or threefold like bullet point discussion about a few things.
Definitely. What were you about to
To
say?
wrap up the whole Nicki and LATTO thing, just like, respectfully speaking, when's the last time Nicki put out hip hop material that you felt like was a viable product? Because at the end of the day, we're about the music, and the music is what we spin off. And you see, we have a LATTO album that I believe we gave like a 4 or 4.12 this year.
Yeah.
It was pretty damn good. And to be quite frankly, not to age her, it's like, well, when you are her age and you take issue with a young lady who is kind of shining in the same light that you have shined in, that literally has idolized you and looked up to you and never had a problem with you, I mean, do I need to sing the words to Play a Hater? Do I need to do the Play a Hater's Ball sketch from the Chappelle show? Again, hate.
Well, this was what I was gonna say too. If we're talking about the music,
happen to you, there's a lot of hate going on, and it's unnecessary because it's not like Nicki doesn't have stardom, fame, multiple income streams, wealth, notoriety, viability. It's like this would be different if like she didn't have those things, but the fact that she has those things and she's like engaging in this with somebody who is about what, 10, 12 years your junior?
No, actually 17.
It's very problematic. Young enough to be your daughter?
Like LATTO said,
young enough to be my kids?
LATTO said,
talk to him like a human being, an adult, until I have to talk to him.
LATTO said, you're older than my mother and you're out here bullying me online.
Did she say that?
Yeah. She's right.
I love that she
said
that.
So it is what it is. But see, this is the thing, man. And I think that Nicki doesn't want to let go. But see, the problem is, have you heard the Super Freaky Girl song?
No.
You got to grow with your audience. This record sounds like, what was it? The song that she did with the Sir Mix-a-Lot sample.
Oh,
it's like it's in that vein. They don't sound like the song, but it's in that vein. So it's like,
she's reaching into one of her
as
wells.
you get older, you have to grow with your audience. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's what she has failed to do. And now you're still making music for that same audience that would now be listening to LATTO or listening to Cardi or listening to Megan or whatever. And the people who grew up on you, they're on something else. And they want you to grow with them. And you have failed to do that. But you want to still keep that same spot that, the 28-year-old Nicki was able to have. And it's somebody else's spot now.
She's 39. Okay, that makes sense. So I know somebody who I used to be close to that's from New York, female.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit older than Nicki, that once used to tell me every time we used to talk about Nicki, be like, and I'm not joking, be like, Coop, she has mental health issues. Like, like those different personalities and voices is like, no, she's really schizophrenic, bipolar, and probably on some sort of medication. Like I had somebody who was like very viable, like in the world of psychology, like, like tell me that, like about her on multiple occasions,
Yeah.
And so I know it's so like, I know it's and I hate this in a way. It's becoming kind of trendy to pull the mental health card in the Black community lately, but there is some proof, to the personality and the voices and like all that. Like I told you, I was listening to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. It starts off with Nicki, you know what I mean? And even if you watch like her, like one of her biographies, it talks about how like, as a teenager, she started creating all these different characters and voices and stuff. It's like, oh, no. Normal people don't do that. It's like you're either a genius or you have a mental health issue, and it's usually both.
Jay Short with the super chat says, is this about rap or is Nicki trying to transition to Wendy Williams / Joan Rivers type of persona? Is there a lane for that in hip hop gossip thing? I mean, I think that
Cardi's better at it.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, Cardi's relationships funny. And see, Wendy Williams.
She's just funny and friendly, Mike. It ain't hard.
Yeah, but Nicki is more like Wendy because a lot of people don't, remember Wendy's radio days.
I'm about to say
she didn't have a lot of friends.
Person.
She didn't have a lot of friends in radio.
She was a radio personality first, though, and a viable one, though.
But she made a lot of enemies, and she was able to transition that over to a talk show. But see, I think the difference between Wendy and Nicki, and I could be wrong, even if people in the industry didn't like Wendy, they were entertained by Wendy and they liked Wendy as a host. I don't even know if the fans would like Nicki as a host. I don't know. I don't have any proof to say that they would because
Right.
she
You don't have any
seems
proof to
to
say that they
she
wouldn't,
seems
though.
to flip on everybody.
She does seem to be a little.
That's the reputation. And
She has.
and I'm gonna do
She is
this.
combustible. She's combustible. Yes.
In her defense, to a degree, I think that a lot of the things that Jay-Z may, have done with his vibrato and just being like, dominating the rap game, I think maybe that's the type of thing that she is trying to do in her lane. But when she does it, it comes off catty. Does that make sense?
Well, I told you that, outside of literally Biggie and Tupac, Jay-Z is probably the most charismatic guy to ever touch a microphone. And I think his charisma probably transfers in real lifetime better than those two guys. And so that makes him arguably this most charismatic figure this game has ever seen, at least from the MC perspective. And so it takes some of that. She does not have that. Yeah. Like, and it's just been told to me, Jay's one of those people. It's like, well, he knows how to speak to a wide audience, but he also knows how to single you out and talk to you like on your level from your perspective. Like he's not gonna talk to Nas and Puff the way he's gonna talk to Benny and Westside. You feel me?
Yeah. Man, that with the super chat says thoughts on Mid Baby's mediocre trash. Is overhyped. Talking about Lil Baby's album.
We're gonna talk about the album.
We're gonna talk about the album
briefly too. I mean, okay, yeah. Let's transition. Where are we transitioning to?
Let me get the Mad Max super chat. He says, Mike, Nicki's audience are girls my age and maybe a bit older. Her audience ain't on something else. These girls still on my timeline praising Nicki along with the 22 and under crowd. But that's a dangerous crowd to have, especially when you got the LATTOs that are 23 years old roaming the earth. You got the city girls that are under 30 roaming the earth. You know what I mean? I heard somebody in the comment section of, it was a Gangsta Boo verse. I forgot whose song she was featured on. But somebody was like, it had to be somebody younger, obviously. She was like, man, she out here stealing Megan's style. And I'm like, Megan's style is Gangsta Boo style. I've been listening to Gangsta Boo for 25 years. Megan's whole flow is Gangsta Boo. And I mean, again, and Gangsta Boo ain't got to say that. And I'm sure Megan ain't got to say it. It ain't no hate. I'm sure they're proud of each other. But I think that sometimes people get it twisted. And you have to acknowledge the people that paved the way for you to a certain degree. But I guess even in this situation, when you acknowledge the people, they can still snap back at you. I don't care, man. I'm going to keep it real, and I'm going to say it like I would say if it were anybody else. I would like to see a diss record out of this. Keep it on wax. Why not? But, in my experience in hip-hop, man, the older MC, you're not really going to stand a chance with the younger, hungry MC. It's going to be very difficult.
And the younger MC usually has more information on you because they haven't been around as long and haven't been exposed to the public as much. There's more information to pull from.
Well, I mean, she already called her husband.
What goes around comes around.
I mean,
how that Nas song go?
Yeah.
What goes around, it comes around.
I mean, she already called her husband and brother a rapist. So, I mean, she probably got some strong bars.
I've seen her out in the streets. So. Definitely gonna flood your family's business out in the streets. That type of business. But what'd you say? You were around. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, we all knew that. We all knew that those bullets were in the gun. We don't need anybody to go get any sort of forensic evidence. No. We know where those bullets came from.
Again, man, Sheetha was one thing. But if this happens, that's a whole nother thing.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of information on the table. That's what I mean about you've been around. There's a lot of information. A lot of information on the table.
I think 50 Cent's one of
Definitely
those.
need to watch your tone.
50 Cent's one of those rappers that withstood a whole bunch of very vicious diss records. I guess if you could say he
he
withstood
those diss records like at his peak and in his prime.
Right.
So, like, that's different.
Yeah, it is. Mad Max of the Super Chat says, LATTO and City Girls aren't popping enough to take Nicki out the way. Okay. Well, listen. Put it on wax. That's what we do in hip hop.
This is a show and prove type of business.
Ask the Grammys.
Hip hop and sports go together so well because they're show and prove type of businesses. It's like, oh, no. I know who you are and what you did. Like even with somebody like Tom Brady, I'm looking at Tampa Bay this year and I'm like, oh, no. It's like, oh, no. You shouldn't lose Giselle to go like 10 and 8. No. You're losing Giselle like to go like 14 and like 4 and like go to like the Super Bowl and like have a shot. Like, oh no, not the way y'all playing. It's like, oh, you need to take your ass home if that's the case.
Everybody loves a winner, man. I mean, listen, I'll say this to Mad Max. The industry has clearly picked a side. So she clearly doesn't have the support of the industry. The fact that the Grammy organization is letting LATTO's records stay in the category that they're not letting hers stay in, you don't have that kind of support. So you need. If it comes down to a record, I feel like Mulatto's gonna get the support from the record industry, recording industry. So
people have to understand this. The record industry is mostly ran by companies that are either based in California or have Hollywood ties. And so they run their business of women specifically in music the same way that they run their business of women in Hollywood. And they say, bitch, you old, slide over here for us.
I mean, look, like you said.
They do it just like that.
Like you said, Coach.
Like you have to be epic, like, to transition gracefully like a Meryl Streep or a Kathy Bates or a Angela
Well, you got to start playing somebody's grandma, man. You got to start playing auntie. You got to be auntie.
But you got to start playing cool auntie. That's what I mean. Like
auntie ain't starring in no movies. You know what I'm saying? The star.
No, auntie can't star in movies. That's what I'm saying. Like Misery and like Fried Green Tomatoes or like or when they
Devil Wears Prada.
Story. I'm not joking. Or The Coven with American Horror Story with Jessica Lange. The lead character is Jessica Lange, Kathy Bates, Angela Bassett. Them is all aunties and grandmas. But
you got to embrace it, though.
No. Look at the capability and the skill level of the actresses is what I'm saying.
Well, what I was going to say, too, man, it's like it's just like sports.
You get that role as a woman when you're older.
Well, like you said, man, entertainment, sports, all that is the same, right? So if you got a 23-year-old quarterback, you got a 39-year-old quarterback, they don't care how good you used to be. Your ass is out of here.
Hold on.
Your ass is out of here.
Mike, ask Joe Montana, who had 4 Super Bowl rings.
Ask Brett Favre.
They were looking at Steve Young, and they were like, hey, Joe, so we'd like to thank you for putting us right next to the Cowboys and the Steelers in an 8-year period. Now, take your ass to Kansas City so we can let Steve Young ball.
I mean, ask Brett Favre. They had to get his ass up out of there, make room for Aaron Rodgers. You're not gonna win this game over a 23-year-old.
You're not winning this game. Look, Bill Belichick moved Tom Brady and didn't even know what he was moving to. He's like, no, Tom. He's like, I know who you are. I know how this league works. Step your ass off to the side. No, go to Tampa Bay. Tom just proved them wrong. Indianapolis Colts with Peyton Manning. You had what surgery? You had surgery on your neck. How old are you? Andrew Luck. Andrew, would you like to come in the building? Get your old ass out this building, Peyton. No, we'd like to thank you for building this entire stadium and the infrastructure for half this city. Get your ass out the building.
Eric Terrell says, Mike want those diss records. Yes, I do want those diss records. And you know what? If both of them put out a diss record today, again, the 23-year-old LATTO is at an advantage. I'm sorry, she is. Because she's going to get all the backing.
She has a lot to choose from.
Yeah. The Raisin Head with the super chat says, fan or not, Nicki's spot is etched in stone. It is, but again, so is Kim's. She needs to make amends with Kim. And I think this would be the perfect time to do so.
Just because they build a statue for you doesn't mean that somebody's not going to come along that's going to be worthy of having a statue placed right next to yours. That's
Well,
how this goes. Like, it's like Magic Johnson has 5 rings with the Lakers. He doesn't have any problem with Kobe being right there next to him with 5 rings. It's about how you handle it.
do you think? Well, I know the answer to the second part of my question about the beloved side of it. I don't think that Nicki's going to be held higher than Kim. And I think the way her relationship with her peers has a lot to do with it. If she would have, A, shown respect to Kim from jump, and B, shown love to Cardi from jump, she would be the biggest female MC of all time. But the fact that it seems like right now, too, and I think they made a point about this, Lotto said something about this when she was on the phone with Nicki, women in hip hop are thriving right now. Everybody's unified for the most part. You're the
Everybody getting
only one
along. It's
disrupting
great.
this. And you're the one that really influenced this whole generation of young women that are actually popping right now. And you're the one tripping? What's
Well, you
the
see, this is what it
problem?
is. It's like this. She's somewhere in the middle. See, she's not where Latifah and Light are, and even like people like Roxanne Shante and Angie Stone, where you're so far away that it's like you can truly see the impact. Or even somebody like Kim or Foxy or Lauren that can look and smile right now and be like, oh yeah, look at this shit. You're somebody that's probably the tipping point of making this happen. And when you're a tipping point figure, how you get remembered usually tips based on behavior. And she's really tipping herself the wrong way by doing this, because potentially she's going to be looked at as somebody who is problematic and a springboard to these things, but not revered the way somebody like a Kim or a Latifah, a predecessor. I'm going to say this again. So at my uncle's funeral, I spoke from the Book of Kings, and I told people the Book of Kings is about good kings, bad kings, and great kings. That's why it's called the Book of Kings. The same things apply to queens. How do you want to be remembered as a queen? Now, are you a good queen? Are you a bad queen? Are you a great queen? Because there's a book, and it's going to get written down, and right now it's getting written down like you were a bad queen.
Well, this is the thing. These people that
Well, the
you're
queen,
going to war with, they're going to help write your legacy in the next era. It ain't going to be you. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be the work that you're putting in. It's going to be the Lottos. It's going to be the JTs. They're going to be writing your legacy moving forward. The
I mean, think
Cardis.
about this.
Because
Like,
what?
think
Cardi
about
just
how
turned
people
30.
think about how people in the media literally this season have tried to supplant Barry Bonds' home run record.
Yeah.
Like, that's about his behavior. That's not about steroids.
Well, you know
If,
what? And even outside of Barry, you remember when Kobe Bryant, towards the end of his career, ESPN ranked him like the 96th best player in the league. That's based on how they felt about Kobe as a person. There's no way in the world at any point in Kobe's career that there were 95 guys better than him on experience alone, like just his
no,
mental
I mean,
makeup
no,
alone.
no. When he walked in the league,
Yeah,
there wasn't like 60 guys better than him.
there's no way in the world. So yeah,
No,
you're right. I mean, the way
no.
you treat people
That's off athletic ability.
when you're no longer out there dominating, and like Nicki's no longer dominating, they get to write your legacy, and the way
Well,
you
this
treat
is
people matters.
this is what I mean. Do you remember how Barry Bonds was getting treated when he was approaching 700
Of
home runs, as
course,
opposed to how Albert Pujols just got treated?
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
see, at this point, they want somebody to beat Barry, but unfortunately, guys, it's not gonna
That
happen.
won't be happening.
It won't happen.
Hey, guess what? Guess what? Newsflash. Won't be happening ever.
The greatest baseball player ever. Until we come around or come across the greatest baseball player ever, it's not gonna happen.
No, I don't think people understand. He got blackballed and probably had another 2 seasons of DH work within him, and he would have gotten to 800 home runs, and this would be
Easy.
far and way out of like realistic reach. Like, he was going to put it out of reach. He was going to get to 800.
Not to mention him getting walked astronomical amounts of time. I always wondered how he got all those home runs and didn't get to 3,000 hits. Yeah, he got walked
Walk.
like two
Walk.
times more than the person that's at number 2 with the second most intentional walks.
Go look at how many doubles he has.
It's insane.
It's like, are you serious? Because usually when you get a double, A double is usually a triple is somebody's mistake or you're really fast. A double is when you damn near hit a home run or the ball bounces off the wall. You feel me? Like
No,
in
that's real.
baseball, when you're somebody like him, go look at his doubles. It's like you know how many balls were almost home runs?
Mm. Jay Short with the super chat says Nicki's legacy is attached to Drake and Wayne. I think that their legacies kind of stand on their own.
I think they all have separate legacies
Yeah, I
and they
think
have a
so too.
legacy together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Raisin Head says, and Shay Noir is better than both with no buzz.
Hey, Mike, everybody that's been jumping in saying they didn't get a notification, you're going to have to talk to YouTube. They keep doing this, and specifically on Friday. This is becoming a trend.
Yeah. Can y'all talk to YouTube too? I mean, our email is going to be one thing, but holla
Got
at YouTube.
haters. We got haters too.
Yeah, Mad Max says Jay Short, Kim's legacy is attached to Biggie. If I'm gonna be honest, Nicki's been past Kim up, but I was coming up during the time only older heads bragged about Kim. Nicki over her attitude aside. Talk about Kim, Nicki over. Yeah. Listen,
Well,
I
this is
think
really
that
going to be
Nicki's
about how the
records
records
hold
hold
up.
up.
Yeah, I think Kim's records hold up more than Nicki's, but if you want to say bar for bar, if somebody was sitting there in the cipher who's gonna out rap who, I wouldn't be mad if somebody would say Nicki would out rap Kim. But the records, I just don't feel like Nicki has a no time. I don't feel like she has a crush on you. I don't feel like she has a what's the other record I was thinking about? I mean, even if we went the Get Money route, even if we went Lighters Up route, I don't think she has a Lighters Up. And that's well after Big Pass. Eric Terrell with the super chat says,
we literally have archive shows on this chat where like I've talked about this and like said all these things. It's like, oh no, she don't have Kim's records. And even in a battle, never underestimate, like in a battle, your punchlines matter. It's like, I don't know if Nicki's a better punchline rapper than Kim either. You get what I'm saying?
You're right. Eric Terrell says, name a classic diss by a female MC. Lost Ones is top 10 diss record of all time, though. Thoughts, Coop?
10% diss.
10% diss is where I was going to go.
Hot damn ho, here we go again.
Yeah, 10% diss was tough. I felt like Lost Ones was more of a subliminal. It was a great song.
Well, it was very obvious who she was talking to.
I don't know if it was a quote-unquote diss record to call it a top 10 diss record. I think it was a...
No, that's a diss.
You think so?
Mike, the record starts off, it's funny how money changes situation. Miscommunication lead to complication. I'm on the humble, you on every station. My emancipation don't fit your equation. No, she talking shit, Mike.
Someone play Young Lauren like she done.
But understand the game is not as new under the sun. What you have did has already been done. No,
I know all the tricks from
Mexican. That's like, that's high level shit talk, Mike. It is.
It is.
My emancipation don't fit your equation. Yeah.
So 10% diss is your pick? Like, because I know you're putting together a playlist of like the top 15 diss
Both of those are on there. Both of those are on the list.
Both of them are on there? Okay.
Oh, yeah, both of those are on the list.
Where do you want to go next,
right
man?
Here.
Do you want to go to this Lil Baby album? Or do you want to go to, because I know you did some research in preparation for Dr. Dre and the Glove, right? Where you want to go next? Let me get this super chat.
No, we can go there. Do you want to go to the Dre thing?
We can go to the Dre thing. What else do we have on the docket?
That. Or do you want to go to the Nas and MC Search thing? Because I feel like we can kind of get to that briefly. Because the Dre thing is going to take a little longer than the Nas and Search thing.
Okay. So, Beats by Nobody with the super chat says, I love the show. Nicki had an entire crowd at the VMAs reciting the bars to every song. You got to remember, that's TV, though. Has a college course.
Kim's been doing that for like 15 years, though.
She has a college course being taught on her. Yes, he does, over at Berkeley. It says, I don't see any of these new females on her level yet. But with her level being that, what does that make Kim when, she kind of used everything that Kim did to get in the game and get to that level? I'm interested to see what this Nicki course is gonna be, because if we're gonna have a course on femininity and hip hop, or however they're approaching this, How is this course not on Kim? You know what I've always thought, man?
Why
Well,
was
what
she
I've
not?
grown to realize it's that whole Michael Eric Dyson hustle. And I say that,
Oh Lord.
whatever. I don't even want to say I say that respectfully. It is what it fucking is, right? These college institutions, they want to take your money. So they go out there and try to have some cool course where they pick like something that they know kids are gonna identify with and think is an easy A. And these kids don't identify with Kim, so they're gonna have the course on Nicki that could easily be about Kim instead of doing it with Kim, if that makes sense. Cause Kim is their mama's favorite rapper, as opposed to, Nicki, where it's something that they kind of lived.
No, I get it and I dig it. Okay.